Another little technique I'd love to share with you is that when you've cut your die cut, you can alter it. So it means that you can just have white card to play with, but you can still do interesting things with things once you've cut them. So I have here that beautiful fern that we've been looking at throughout this video, and I've got one here that's been cut just from cream cardstock. And I'm going to add some ink to this. This is really going to bring it alive. And it just shows you another way of introducing colour when you perhaps don't have the right colour of card, or you don't necessarily want absolutely solid colour. Had I cut this from green cardstock, it would have been more fern-like, but it would have just been one solid green colour. However, you could still add ink to that. You know, a darker green ink onto green cardstock would give shade. But if you've just got cream cardstock and you've just cut your die cut from that, you can quickly change that by going over that with some ink. This is a water-based, quick-drying ink, so whatever you've got that's of that sort, a blending ink, distress inks, of course, are classic, but a dye-based, water-based ink is going to give you this same effect. So, and what you find when the dye has cut the cardstock, it actually opens up the fibres on the edge of the cut line, and those open edges take the ink on much more strongly than the smooth surface of the cardstock does. So you automatically will find that the edges are darker when you blend the ink over it than the centres of the fronds, if you like, of the fern, or it might be the petals of a flower. They take on the ink differently. And so straight away you get this lovely light and shade effect in your inking. Now look how much more realistic that is, just with that quick application of ink. And I really love this effect for die cuts. I quite often have nothing but white card and I cut things from that and then change it as to what I want it to look like. We could even go in there with a second colour and make it look a little bit more autumnal. So I've got here a slightly orangey ink, and you'll notice me, I keep taking my ink off because I don't want it too heavy. I can always go in and add a little bit more, but it's really hard to get rid of it if you go with it too strong to start with. So let's take in a little bit of this rusty colour. Now you can see that the ink was quite peachy to start with, but because I'm mixing it over green, it's going slightly more rusty, and it's giving the fern this really lovely autumnal effect. And I'm just going to touch it here and there, not all over because that sort of defeats the object, but just a little bit of rusty coloration. And now we have something that's really quite different from the way it started life.